Hello and welcome. My name is Tom Ferris with Martin Associates, and this webinar is designed to preview Acumatica 2024 R2. Acumatica has two major releases a year, and this one came out in October of 2024. And we're going to highlight the ongoing investment by the publisher, advancing functionality, usability, and even entering kind of new markets, leveraging machine learning. Thank you very much for your time and attention today. The Martin Associates team will look forward to any questions that this content generates. Remember, if you're an Acumatica customer, you are eligible for a free sandbox for 90 days if you're a SaaS customer, every time one of these major releases comes out. So exploring these new features in a copy of your database is something that Martin Associates is expected to kind of help you guys with. So don't hesitate to ask. All right. For a quick preview and a reminder, one, resource-wise, help.acumatica.com. That web page is going to always be updated with and default to the latest version of Acumatica, which is 2024 R2 right now. And if you just type in the search form release notes, you will see the list of features that many of which we're going to preview today. For our client base, we've chosen certain features that we feel would be most valuable, and we'll move through a sequence of distribution, manufacturing, some general finance and banking enhancements, applicable to both project accounting and construction businesses, some enhancements that Acumatica has made there, Shopify and Amazon, e-commerce handling, and some general platform enhancements that are applicable to everybody. So that's kind of the sequence that we're going to move through, and it's only a portion of the investments and enhancements that Acumatica has made. That full list is going to be on that release notes. Okay. All right, so with that preview out of the way, let's just jump right into the product and start moving through. Again, starting with distribution. As I navigate here to the sales order list in our 2024 R2 demo data, we're visiting an enhancement to prepayment handling by Acumatica for returns. This is going to affect what Acumatica calls sales order types RM, RC, and RR. Those are return for credit, a full RMA, and also return for replacement. Most likely it's going to be RMA that this applies to. So in previous versions of Acumatica, we were not able to have a term which requires prepayment of 10% down, 50% down, 100% down before the item that is to be issued out to the customer under the RMA is sent to them, right? So this is an example where they paid for something that was of lower value and we're issuing out something of higher value. This awaiting payment status has been around for a while, but wasn't applicable under the RM order type, and now it is. All right. So if there's questions about that, again, each of these features is going to be very brief, and we'll just kind of move along quickly. You're expected to, recipients are expected to kind of give us a ring or email your Martin Associates contact if you have deeper questions about these things. All right, next, Acumatica has made some enhancements to the WMS. We'll bring that to life, not through like a full-blown WMS demo here, but I'll just put up our, let's see, we wanted to visit the purchase order preferences form. So when it comes to WMS, the new introduction is two-step receiving. So we issue a purchase order to a supplier, and we want to set up our warehouse teams for success, allowing them to load a purchase receipt against a purchase order for scanning, basically receiving and put away. And this verify receipts before release allows us to have a new status that the goods are received but not released to the inventory. So we've Acumatica has introduced an intermediary. A purchase order's contents are coming in, but they're not going to post straight to the inventory asset account. That's going to await someone potentially in purchasing or on the finance team to validate that what has been received by the inventory team is accurate with respect to the purchase order and expected payable liabilities. Another way this comes to life is the receiving clerk dashboard. Hopefully that the receiving clerk dashboard has been extended with a receipts to verify. So received today, and then a subset of goods being received in the warehouse inbound will queue up into receipts to verify if we've engaged this two-step receiving process for WMS scanning. Okay. All right. Pretty cool. That's been something that a number of our customers have been wanting for a while. So glad to see Acumatica continue to invest in the WMS feature set. Next, we'll move on to PPV approval map. Probably the easiest way to look at that is, yeah, let's just launch into the applicable approval map. Okay. So I'm looking at an approval map that applies to the bills and adjustments form. So this is accounts payable, payable liabilities. And the extension is that Acumatica has added is that on the AP transaction, we can basically say a condition for releasing an AP liability and posting it as an actual liability is subject to approval based on a variety of conditions. We're looking at, if you're not familiar with approval maps, this is potentially a multi-step approval map. It might receive prior approvals from whoever it was requested it, what department the expense might be associated with, and it can go to a secondary approval, based on, say, like a dollar amount total. And this new introduction is this node, in that in the background, it's queryable. What is the purchase price variance amount for the document? So if the PO was for a certain dollar amount and the AP bill associated with that PO is greater than some certain amount or a percentage, then that can trigger approval. Right. So it's this PO PPV amount node at the AP transaction level that has been introduced by Acumatica to basically accomplish PPV approval map. There are a number of other like picking and shipping improvements that impact the distribution feature set, but we'll leave those for a request or a particular business case. So moving on to manufacturing features, kind of keep our quick review of 2024 R2. Moving along, we're going to go visit the estimates form. And estimates might be new to many of our manufacturing and the sales organizations for manufacturing customers, but it's essentially per these operations and work centers, it's essentially a bill of materials based estimating and quoting platform. With 2024 R2, Acumatica introduces price breaks. So again, if we're quoting a new thing, something that we have not built before, it might even require materials we have not purchased before and processes we have not conducted before in our manufacturing centers. As we quote it out, it's pretty normal for that which we're quoting to have like a multi-quantity. Sometimes it's going to be a one-off, but when we are producing 10 or 100 or 1,000 or tens of thousands of the item, both we and our customer or prospect are going to be subject to economies of scale. So price breaks. And the price breaks tab is new to the estimate feature set in that we can actually successfully accomplish the end cost based on what are our material costs, what are our expected markups, and then what is the actual customer or prospect facing price or quote, and that can be impacted and displayed as price breaks. If you buy 100 of these, if you buy 10,000 of these, then your total price will be the following. All right, so that's a new feature set, price breaks on estimates. It's applicable primarily to manufacturers. Up next would be visiting and kind of comparing two different features. Let's just kind of put them up like this. Where is it? They not have, I guess, oh, it's been removed from the sitemap. Okay, well, it's kind of driving home the point. All right, what I was looking for there was a form called Visual Bomb. And per the release notes, the Visual Bomb looks a lot like this engineering workbench. But the Visual Bomb form is being deprecated or removed in Acumatica. So Visual Bomb is a form that allows us to kind of drill in and actually visit subassemblies. So if I highlight this node within this bill of materials, we'll see here on the subassembly tab that BOM 5, to build BOM 5, I have to have either on hand or be ready to build and create subassembly production orders for bill of material 4 and bill of material number 1. So those are subassemblies to the build. And basically the takeaway is engineering workbench is the form that is replacing Visual Bomb. It's been around for a while. They're just going to, there was some duplication. They're getting rid of Visual Bomb. And engineering workbench comes with a number of features that Visual Bomb, which is kind of like a read-only form, did not. So calculating the bill of material cost per our prior price breaks, if we're building one versus building 100 at a time, we can cost things out appropriately where we have fixed labor versus variable labor and fixed overhead versus variable overhead, etc. All right, so engineering workbench is replacing the Visual Bomb form. There are a number of subassembly blowdown and like parent to child production order impacting forms like rough cut planning, but those advanced planning and scheduling things would probably be best left to a more detailed product review. So do reach out. Just know that the parent child production order edits are deeper than what I'll show here briefly on screen. Let's go visit a production order, and I'll kind of drive that home a little bit further. What I say, so we would go to, that's going to be just for regular orders. We want to see number 27. I must have a filter on. Sorry. Oh, that's for a particular project. Sorry, wrong number. 35. Okay. So I brought up a particular project linked production order. But before we do that, I want to point out that for 2024 R2, per the prior mention, is our production order maintenance form has been extended with a tab called related production. And parent to child relationships between production orders. It's been there, but it was kind of clunky. It used to be actually be here on the references tab where it was kind of linear, like one child to one parent production order. And now that's gotten kind of more 1 to n related in that we can have multiple child records displayed and a given parent for a production order. So if you have to build one thing and then have various sub-assemblies related to it, rather than only knowing that through like a visual BOM or multi-BOM drill down, it's actually present on each production order, what it's being built in the context of, and what's being built as its predecessor. All right, so that's related production. All right, so that's getting a little more sophisticated. Um, Reach out for a specific demo if it's applicable to your business. All right, I'm on this particular production order because in addition to the related production, we also want to talk about project-specific material handling. So, per the references, this is a bill of material-based production order, but it has additional context. It's also one of many builds in my manufacturing work centers that is in the context of a particular project for a particular customer. And there might be multiple production orders linked to this overall project. I might use the project to inherit all cost and use the project and the project accounting module to invoice my customer for all the services and physical things that I'm building and delivering on their behalf. The extension that's taken place with 2024 R2 is project-specific inventory. So looking at critical materials report, let's make that a little bit bigger, everybody. All right, so what I'll drive home here is prior to 2024 R2, we didn't necessarily have anything more than just quantity remaining for this production order and the quantity on hand, and thus any quantity short. What's new for 2024 R2 is of this quantity that's on hand, how much of it has been explicitly receipted into inventory for this particular project, right? So it's basically project-specific inventory being brought into the manufacturing critical materials form. All right. And again, warehouse and warehouse location treatment of project and production order specific inventory is worth its own complete demo. But just know that like critical materials reports have been extended to reflect project specific. That's when we buy very specific materials for a very specific build for a customer, typically managed underneath a project. All right. The last one I'll leave as just, well, I can do it real quick here. Sorry, let's go into references and maybe pull up this BOM on screen quickly. Outside processing is a capacity of Acumatica in that if we're having an outside vendor conduct value-added services, welding, finishing, dipping, polishing, etc., and we want that work done in the context of a production order. I got it ready, then they, an external vendor, was shipped the item in partially processed state. I issue a PO to them. They complete their value-added work and they ship it back to me for completion. That's the outside process. And if when there is an outside process, Acumatica has added a nice kind of like completion step. If I issue a PO to them, then when that PO is receipted back into inventory, and as they finish their work, the operation associated with that outside process will automatically complete itself. Let's see, I don't have the status field visible here. Setup time, work center notes, queue time finishing. All right, well, that's on, sorry, it's on a bill of material, not a production order. But basically the operation or work center associated with outside processing will auto-complete itself. That's the takeaway, is that when an outside process takes place, a PO receipt in the purchasing module, when it's completed associated with a given production order and operation, it'll complete itself. Okay. Those were our manufacturing topics. So up next is some kind of general and banking features. Let's go visit our cash management preferences. for a quick preview to um, the approval map extension. Again, the approval map in Acumatica continues to broaden with each version, each release. And our newest addition is that reconciliation statements are now eligible for approval. In other words, prior to um, releasing a completed reconciliation statement, which actually marks transactions reconciled, um, that reconciliation statement document in the banking module can be subject to an approval map. So that's a new addition, 2024 R2. The other addition under general and kind of finance and banking is that the bank feeds, so bank feeds accomplished by MX and Plaid, um, are typically capable of logging into a given bank and retrieving bank statements, uh, transaction records. Acumatica recognized that not every bank is compliant with MX or Plaid, and that the banking feeds feature has been extended with the ability to bring in an Excel file or a CSV file as provided by your bank. So it might be the bank posting a CSV file per your schedule to an SFTP site, but the bank feeds feature set of Acumatica is now actually capable of retrieving that Excel file or CSV. Previously, it was the MX and Plaid features were looking for some very specific bank formatting rather than those general CSV or Excel file formats. But Acumatica has rectified that shortcoming. All right. On to project accounting and construction improvements. So let's take a look at the project quote record. All right, so yeah, let's go and cycle this back through for a quick demonstration. All right, so the project quote is capable of being template based, where the during the quoting process, I recognize that what we're trying to quote out is a multi-phase project. My demo here has only one task, but we can have multiple tasks, um, and there can obviously be at each task or phase of the project, there can be material and services that are predefined by the project template. So I'm building a fairly complicated quote. It's not just things, it's things plus labor, and then those things plus labor all happening, and maybe even subcontractor work, all happening in the context of a multi-phase project. It's a big quote, and going back and forth while it's in an internal draft state, there is certainly the option to engage the approval map that we've has been part of Acumatica for quite some time. But new for 2024 R2 is external approval, not internal approval during our sales or engineering or construction-based approval, but taking a quote and submitting it to the customer and allowing them to state that that quote is either accepted or rejected. So an example would be uh, a salesperson in kind of a high touch environment sends the quote, um, the project quote out to our customer or prospect, and they write back and say, nope, we need to make some changes. So we can actually mark that quote as declined by customer. That's a status value now. And we go back to the drawing boards and perhaps edit it, and then resubmit it, and then mark that as accepted. And again, this can work in conjunction with internal approvals, but new to Acumatica really are these two new buttons here. I'm using the edit button to cycle things back through the process, and marking things as accepted will actually reflect an accepted by customer status. And that can be built into workflows that say only once accepted by customer shall the convert to project button light up, for example. That would be an easy edit for us to make. And a quick reminder that The state diagram that controls what actions or next steps can take place based on what preconditions have been achieved. This is an easy drag and drop code or no code or low code edit that the Martin Associates team can make. And there's actually classes on how to customize state diagram workflows out there on Acumatica Open University. All right, so external customer acceptance or decline of project quotes. There's a number of other like subcontractor import enhancements and some updates to the substantiated billing document, but for expediency, I'll let folks who are interested in those features inquire on their own or ask us. All right, we are on to our e-commerce chapter of this review. Let's go take a quick peek at some enhancements to the Shopify stores integration. And our entities list basically highlights it right there. Sales prices in Acumatica are now synchronized automatically with Shopify. Why does that matter? Let's just do a quick reminder. In the past, we've had to do manual workarounds or manual synchronizing of sales prices. Let's just pull that up. Sales prices. So a quick reminder that we can have location specific pricing. So Shopify's B2B capacity allows for a given customer or location to have its own pricing for SKUs. The most basic breakdown of the base level, customer specific, or an entire class of customers that are eligible for a particular price break or a promotional price. All of this data is now eligible to be synchronized automatically with Shopify in near real time. All right. Okay, so price list sync for Shopify all the way down to the customer location level, right? So a given customer, if they're logging into a B2B account, they'll have to state what location they're from, and then that can pivot to specific pricing for them as synchronized. The other e-commerce enhancement for 2024 R2 that's really significant is the introduction of under the Amazon store sync of seller and marketplace fulfilled refunds. That those are now synchronized. In the past, Amazon integration has been kind of a hassle to reconcile what inventory was sent to Amazon, what did they sell during a given period, and the net for refunds that were issued sometimes by Acumatica, by Amazon, unbeknownst to us, were really tough to reconcile, and now that's all part of the sync between Acumatica and Amazon. All right, so seller filled and marketplace fulfilled. Refund processing automatically synchronized. All right, that's the conclusion of kind of modular. The last bit here, we'll move into a quick review of the platform-specific enhancements that Acumatica has delivered. Let's go visit. We'll actually go back to the sales order form for a quick review of the modern UI. That little pop-up there in the upper right is about the fact that the modern UI, which I'm showing here, and let's toggle it back to what most of us are familiar with, the classic UI. This is a sales order form. And the idea is to highlight features like managing user-defined fields, moving fields around. Certainly security can hide things, but when it comes to exposing, maybe it's really important for our business to have the ship via. Okay, so let's just pick FedEx International. Maybe it's really important for the ship via to be exposed for all of our users up here in the summary form. I got a whole bunch of real estate that's unused up here. And typically this is a very minor a code change for the Martin Associates team to execute. But the one of the benefits of the modern UI, which is slowly rolling out over the last year or so, and will continue to accelerate in 2025 for Acumatica, is the modern UI. So let's just toggle into that and kind of talk about some of the benefits. I'm going to switch to the modern UI. This is an option that can be engaged with Acumatica 2024 R2. So what I'm showing you here, that little pop-up, we can actually overcome this not quite ready for prime time with an exception. Acumatica right now in 2024 R2 would require um, basically an addenda to your contract to start to leverage this. But some of its benefits include things like um, being able to do screen configuration, drag and drop. All right, so if I want to edit a given section, um, let's just pick on this one. Um, some customers, the location of the customer is the primary thing that their customer service staff know. And so if we want the location field to be first in front of the customer, that requires a little bit of changing. But you can basically drag and drop and choose to override other users' um, personal configurations they have or preserve them. I'm in there as an administrator. I'm going to basically be heavy-handed and apply that. The location field comes first. If we have a lot of customers that require prepayment, then maybe the section for I'm going to switch back there. Sorry, wrong button. Let's get back into the modern UI, and I want to edit um, the payment link section. Sorry, wrong one. Let's close that. Thank you very much. Back into screen configuration, and here for my sales personnel, I want the payment link right at the top. Order, let's drag you down. All right. So maybe my sales staff has asked, can we please just have the payment link not buried back here on a tab? But if I've got maybe a conditional thing of like it's awaiting payment, I want to be able to like grab that link and just take my customer maybe while I'm on the phone with them, or I want to be able to actually email them this payment link for them to actually provide the prepayment that's required. All right, so this kind of drag and drop capability is one of the easiest things to grasp about the modern UI. It's going to continue to be rolled out um, throughout the 2025 releases or builds of Acumatica. So we're all going to slowly begin to get used to this cosmetic look and feel and start to leverage some of its benefits, including like drag and drop um, movement of files. Sorry, fields around. All right. The last couple things that I had to relay on 2024 are two general process and form improvements and system improvements. Generic inquiry anomaly detection. So that's Acumatica leveraging machine learning, where we can turn on an optional feature that helps large generic inquiry data sets being returned and have generic inquiry anomaly detection, basically saying that looks weird. And that's actually the system just kind of deciding, or machine learning AI decide what looks out of the ordinary. A number of uh, integration scenario improvements, including export scenarios. In the past, if you're in kind of data management, when Acumatica exports data en masse, it's often just exporting all the columns as a string. And now if you're asking for an Excel file to be output, the resulting Excel file will actually honor the data types of each field. This column is a date. This column is a numeric in nature. Those kinds of kind of data provider adherence have now been added to exports by default. Last two like technical announcements. Open API 3.0 schema is now part of Acumatica 2024 R2. And if you are monitoring, considering, or building APIs, just know that SOAP, SOAP, is going away. I mean, this deprecation has been coming for some time on APIs, and that pretty much every API out there is built on REST, REST. The SOAP format is going bye-bye with 2025 R1. All right. Thanks everyone for your time. Really appreciate your attention. Do not hesitate to reach out to your Martin Associates team members. We are here to answer questions and build upon this introduction, get you a sandbox ready to go. I appreciate everyone's attention and I hope you have a great day. Take care.